Get ready to get in the game. Stretch, strengthen, live, and thrive. You can be a winning athlete in the game of life. It's the Peel Appeal with author and corrective exercise specialist Matt Peel.
Hey, this is Matt Peel, and welcome to the Peel Appeal. Today, I am so excited about today's interview because I was on her show a couple times when she first got started. I think was it back in 19, maybe in 18?
18 and 19, yeah.
18 and 19, yes. So today I'm super thrilled to have the host of Fading Memories podcast on with me, Miss Jennifer Fink, all the way out from the West Coast. Jen, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Like I said, I was on your show sharing my expertise. Today we're going to talk about something that's super important that, as we were just chatting a little bit about before, I'd say affects 100% of people in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a direct relative or friend or a friend of a friend involved in that. And that's dementia. So tell us a little bit about yourself first. Why are you so passionate about this? Why did you get started with Fading Memories?
Well, my mom had Alzheimer's for 20 years. She passed away right at the start of the pandemic, which was a unique experience, kind of a blessing for all of us. But I don't really recommend losing somebody 2 weeks about 2 weeks right after the pandemic quarantine started, and everybody was like, what the heck is going on? Like the world just turned upside down.
Exactly.
It's been different. And my maternal grandmother also had vascular dementia for 15 years. And my maternal great grandmother had dementia. She died before I was born. So I don't know anything about, I don't think even back then they knew like what flavor, for lack of a better term, of dementia she had. Cause there's like 100 causes of dementias. Dementia is it's a symptom. It's a generic term. Like Alzheimer's is a disease that causes dementia. So when I went looking for ways to engage with my mom better, to give her better quality of life and joy and all those good things, all the traditional advice, failed spectacularly, which caused great frustrations and, not positive feelings in myself. I was driving to the gym one day back in the old days when we used to do those things.
Well, we still do over here. I don't know about out there by you, but New Orleans area we're back in.
Oh, well, I think the gym I used to go to has been open. I know they opened again in like October of 20 and then they closed again. I don't know. December of 20, I joined the cult of Peloton. So
hey, it's better than nothing.
I love it. Anyway, so I was driving to the gym, listening to a podcast, got the bright idea. I should look for a podcast on caregiving. There's podcasts on everything. So I went home, I looked, and there was one. And she's been around a long time, very successful, not my cup of tea in any stretch of the imagination. So my husband and I had talked about doing a podcast for his real estate business. He's a broker and a property manager. He's got a lot of information he could share, but he was not really super interested. So I kind of thought, well, I can't be the only family caregiver running up against not finding the advice that I need. I kind of felt like I had a bunch to share. Quickly learned I did not. And so I pivoted after giving away what advice I had. Then I pivoted to interviewing people like yourself.
Hey, well, I think it's a combination. Not to get down to that why to do a podcast or not, as you were asking me before, but yeah, you got to balance guests and then your own information. And you have, while you may not necessarily have professional background in nursing or anything like that, you have experience from your mom, and I would say that's the overwhelming majority of people who are dealing with it. It's mom or dad or maybe an aunt or uncle that you're kind of in a sense stuck left to care for. But you've interviewed 300 and something people to get their expert advice. So I kind of say through osmosis, in a sense, you've become quite an expert. So what's, I guess, just for you been a big revelation from the care that you gave your mom?
Well, they tell you if you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia, because obviously any disease that affects somebody, you might get a cold and be down and out for a week, whereas I get a cold and I can, muddle through or whatever. Everybody's different. Everybody's brains are different. So a disease that affects your brain obviously is not going to hit everybody the same way. So, and then there's different varieties, like frontal temporal dementia affects obviously your frontal temporal lobes, and it has a tendency to affect personality and behavior, and not in positive ways. Whereas with Alzheimer's, they just lose memory and ability over time. It can be slow, like with my mom. Some people it's faster. I don't recommend the 20-year plan, but that's what we got stuck with.
Right. Right. And my grandmother, for example, she has it. She's in her, how old is Nani now? It's 96. I think she's
Okay.
96. Right. Physical health, she's good. Right. That the ticker's going. It's not like she's gonna pass anytime soon physically, but you're right. As she slows down mentally a little bit more, and then the dementia gets a little bit more, kicks in. Yeah. What kind of existence is that? But if your physical body is still going on, like there's no issues, that's tough.
And that's how my mom was. My mom lived in memory care for 3 years. She walked without aids up
Yeah.
until the last 6 months or so. She could manage to feed herself. She did need help with dressing and other activities of daily living, as they're
Mhm.
called.
Mhm.
And some of the things, like sometimes she needed help with eating and sometimes she didn't. So it was, you kind of never really were sure what was going on. It's like she really made it tricky.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk about, from your experience here in interviewing everyone, brain health as we age. What have you learned from that? Yeah, obviously I understand that from my standpoint, but let's hear about from yours.
Well, it shouldn't be probably any different than you, because I don't know if you're aware. You're probably aware because it's been pretty much national news, but recently the FDA gave full approval to they call it the first, it's technically the second Alzheimer's treatment.
Mhm.
It can only be used for people in the very early stages. And it works best if somebody in the early stages of the disease is also implementing the lifestyle changes. They're eating right. They're not drinking sugary sodas. They're maintaining their blood sugar, their blood pressure, all of those things we know we're supposed to do.
Right.
But a lot of people would rather take a pill because, every day going to the gym or going into the, either my freezing garage or my hot garage.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
doing some cross training on the Peloton is, it's
It's work.
yeah, you
It's
got to
work.
make
It's hard.
time.
You got to make time. It's easier to take a pill or a liquid or even an injection, with some things now. But at the end of the day, that's not what science says helps with the brain.
Nope.
So, as we know, neuroplasticity, right? Rebuilding the neural pathways. How is that done? That's done through exercise, through complex body movements, by getting your heart rate up, not by sitting on the couch and you had your injection and say, okay, well, I'm just not hungry today. Like,
That is true.
you're not helping yourself.
They used to think that as we aged, and I forget what age they thought it kind of stopped, that we couldn't grow new neurons, which is neuroplasticity. The other way to get more neurons and build up your cognitive reserve is learning new things, challenging yourself. Like we've done some DIYs. Like I said, my husband's a real estate broker. DIY is almost like a very bad word to, a bad DIY is just like the worst thing you can do to your home. I mean, you might as well punch a hole in the wall. It's just
right. Your property value went down, not up.
Exactly. It's like you may like it, you may think it looks fine, but nope. So learning new things is always good. I don't know how people don't, because I get bored. Like I want to read new things, try new things.
Yeah.
Being creative is really helpful, which is super easy for me. I don't know if you remembered that I was a portrait photographer until we got about halfway through the 2020 pandemic, and I was like, forget it.
Yeah, no one's wanting a portrait right now.
That, and it's just everybody thinks, oh, my iPhone takes great photos, so I don't really need you. And it's like, you're right, the phone does, you don't. So
True
I got
that.
tired of arguing with people. It's like, even if you're really good with your iPhone, you still need me because your arm is only so long, or it's just, you really need somebody else to put eyeballs on what you're doing while you're taking the photo so that you get the best result.
Yep.
So I'm one of those people that technology like upended one career and made another one possible. So I had to learn
There you
all
go.
about podcasting.
Yes, as I still am. So with that and learning these things about how the brain changes and how we can slow down the risks of dementia, and that's what exercise and lifestyle does. It can help reduce your risk
Yep.
of it. You got to have emotional endurance, though, not just for exercise and all that, but when you have someone that you're caring for with Alzheimer's or dementia. So tell us a little about emotional endurance.
Well, emotional endurance can be summed up in the statement, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Most of us don't go, I'm not doing this anymore, and just walk away. It's our
Right.
family. It was my mom. It's your grandmother.
Yeah.
You just, even though there's probably days when we all wanted to just close the door and, go away.
Yeah.
And we just don't. And sometimes you got to worry about how that's affecting you, and you have to take care of yourself. So that means, again, we're back to those dang lifestyle choices.
We are.
Taking care of somebody who is slowly disappearing in front of you is just horrific. And, I strongly recommend getting into a support group, either through the Alzheimer's Association or wherever. I actually facilitate one now. I graduated from being a participant to being a facilitator.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
And you need to find ways to take care of yourself, because it's really easy, especially in the later stages, to, not feel like you have time to work out, not feel like you have time to, do your annual dental checkups or your physical checkups. Like, none of us really want to do any of that crap anyway. And we're already doing a pile of stuff we don't want to do. So like, I'm not adding going to the doctor for myself to this list of stuff I don't want to do, but we really should, because they can help. I know going to the doctor, I hate going to the doctor, because I swear that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Our medical system doesn't really help caregivers very well. We need a lot of changes there. But if you got high blood pressure, they might be able to help you get it down through nutrition, exercise. We're talking about all those things again.
It's like a broken record, but
Exactly.
you're right. And I see it when I was working at the health club. We had a class for just special needs, right? They call them kids, but these were not kids; these were adults. So they had some variation of disability. So their caretakers would bring them. Well, their caretakers, while the kids are exercising, right, you're in a health club. The caretakers are sitting around, and they're overweight, and some of them morbidly obese themselves. Like, how much longer is your ticker going to keep working for you when you're supposed to take care of special needs, really now a young adult, for their parents? But you're not taking care of yourself. So at the end, you can't actually be your best caretaker for the one that really needs it when you got your aches and pains because you're 60 pounds overweight and your high blood pressure medications and things like that. So I know I got up my soapbox on there, but it's important. And you're right, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If we don't do the lifestyle, or lifestyle changes help, as you were talking about, learning a new musical instrument, learning a new language, doing the Sudoku or whatever the hell that they're called.
I can't do those.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even spell the word. So all those things that we do build new neurons in with, you combine that with your lifestyle, now you got the best of everything. So they really do go hand in hand. So what's kind of your goal for the podcast, for your Fading Memories? Where do you want to see it in, say, 1 to 3 years?
Well, I had sponsors I had one for slightly over a year. I'd like to get back to that. I discovered through not believing something the sponsor told me, that about 20%, between 10 and 20% of the monthly downloads are only the current episodes, which seems really, really strange. Super thrilled that the older episodes are still evergreen content and people are benefiting from it. I sort of kind of cringe at the ones that I recorded in my old office before that had cabinets around me. So it was very echoey and was not super good quality sound. And then I moved into the closet and then I figured out how to alter the drywall in my actual office. So that works. But, it's really interesting that like literally in June was my best month ever. And
Wow.
12% of the downloads were from the current episodes, which doesn't that seem weird?
Well, I guess people hear about you or whatever it is, and any of us in that regards, say, okay, well, I kind of heard that one. Let me go back to the beginning and here and think that maybe it is like a series of, watching whatever television show. You got to see the first episode to know what happened is in the story here at the end of episode, but each episode is really unrelated most of the time to the previous one. But hey, whatever works,
Yeah, like I said, it's exciting that that many episodes that are older get downloaded.
Yeah.
And if people have listened to all, I think this week was 281 episodes. That doesn't include bonus and some other things, but so when you said over 300, that's probably close, probably around 300. Well,
Around
no,
300?
it's probably over 300 because I got some that are already in the tank. I don't know if
The
that's
vault,
the right term.
the vault, the
Yeah, there you go.
archives.
They're in Dropbox waiting to be edited.
There you go. There you go.
Excuse me. This week's, I know, I was saying, like, lost my train of thought there for a second. So in the first 3 years of the podcast, if you listen to enough of them, you can figure out what challenge I was having with my mom. There are specific ones where she posed a challenge and then I had to go record. And so it was really hard not to bring all of that angst and frustration into the recording. It snuck in a little bit. But now that she's been gone a little over 3 years, it's more of what is interesting. What do I think people would appreciate? I'm still learning best caregiver practices and I don't have anybody to take care of other than a almost 9-year-old golden retriever and kind of sort of the spouse, but he's on his own in a lot of respects. He can take care of himself. The dog is a different story.
I gotcha. So as we wrap up, tell us one thing that people, even close friends, may not know about you. Like, for example, you know how to do the moonwalk, and then spin on your head, and then do rap in Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah, it's none of those things, that's for sure.
None of those things? Okay.
Let's see.
Okay.
Man, I think a lot of people know that I'm really creative, that I like to do. I make homemade greeting cards now. That was my pandemic hobby that I picked up and kept because it doesn't clutter up the house. You give them away and you don't have clutter around. I don't think people are as aware of how good a cook I am, because my husband does most of the cooking because his schedule is more flexible and he took over dinners during the pandemic, and I've tried to wrestle them back and haven't been super successful. And so I've kind of given up. It's like, you want to do it? Fine, you do it. I challenge myself with baking, different breads and different fancier, things we're not supposed to eat.
Hey, that's okay. I enjoy having things that we're not supposed to eat. I've been having too much of that the past couple of weeks here. And our good friend alcohol. I've had way too much of that the past few weeks. But I digress. It happens. We're human. All right. So how can people find you? What's the best way to get in touch with you? What's the best way to find you?
Well, you could find the Fading Memories podcast on any podcast player. The web address is fadingmemoriespodcast.com. And you can get a hold of me at hello@fadingmemoriespodcast.com. Tongue twister today.
And of course, you're on YouTube, LinkedIn. That's where we connect. LinkedIn, Instagram, Alzheimer's podcast, Twitter. Jennifer, is it Jennifer Fink or the underscore? Is there a dot? What's going on that?
I think Jennifer _Fink, because I think I joined Twitter in like 2008. Like, I'm an OG Twitter person.
OG Jen Fink. And then your Facebook page is Alzheimer's Podcast on Facebook.
Yep.
All right. So go find Jen, talk to her, reach out on her, connect with her. She's amazing. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. This is Matt Peel. Until next time, thank you for tuning in to the Peel Appeal.
Are you ready to get in the game? Get personal help, sign up for our newsletter, and pick up your copy of Athlete in the Game of Life, the book, all at mattpeel.com. Thanks for listening.